What's up, Summoners? King Blair here. Today, for Top 5 Tuesday, we're going to be talking about top 5 sleeper picks in RTA. So these are going to be units that not a lot of people are using or building, even though they do very well in the meta and can get you some wins against some of the very strong meta teams. So if you like the video, make sure you like, subscribe, and join the Discord server. Link down in the description. Without further ado, let's get right into it. So top 5 sleeper picks. Again, there are a lot of really good heroes that we already know are good, like Arby, FCC, Seaside Bologna, Cerise, F10, but these are units that aren't put in the spotlight as much, even though they can have a big impact when drafted in the right team and drafted against their right team composition and net you a lot of wins, especially when you really know how to use these units. So hopefully this gives you a good idea on some really good picks that you may have in your box that you may not know are hidden gems. And we're going to jump right into it, starting with none other than Fighter Maya. Fighter Maya in the right situation is just absolutely insane. As we know, control is everywhere, but there are times where control players decide to sometimes even go for a more aggressive team composition rather than just going full control. And Fighter Maya, while she does really good against control, can also do really good against those aggressive squishy teams. All her skills are based off of her defense, and she does have really good defense. This scaling off of her defense allows her to build extremely tanky, like over 2k defense and like 16k HP with crit rate and critical hit damage, and just be able to smack the opponent while not being easily debuffed, since every time she's hit, she removes a debuff and gets increased defense, making her tankier and making her more able to do more damage. So it's a very tanky knight that is able to slap people, is able to hold L Resource, so if they don't focus on her, she's going to be attacking, provoking, doing tons of damage, and then executing units off and getting an extra turn afterwards. She is such a good unit, and not only good for RTA, good for Guild Wars as well, so definitely a good investment, especially in the current climate, if you like a slower playstyle to counter some of these more aggressive control teams. So again, Fighter Maya, really underrated, highly suggest you build her. I really wish I had mine. I would build her right away. Some builds for her are, it's just going to be stacking as much defense as you can with critical hit damage and health and defense. Essentially tanky critical hit damage crit rate, right? Just trying to be really annoying, and because she doesn't get really stunned, she doesn't need immunity, and you can just give her Elris Sword to be able to counterattack when your allies attack, allowing her to take turns even though she may not be that fast. So again, very strong unit. At number 4, we have a unit that has risen in the ranks in the current meta, Ray. Ray is arguably the best counter to the Cerise F10 teams in RTA right now. If they're trying to stack a ton of debuffs against you, and again, you like playing with a lot of tanks, you like playing it slow, you're not trying to outspeed these massive control teams, Ray gives you an insane opportunity to be able to counter these teams. His high base speed allows him to cut shortly after Cerise and F10 and make it so your team will have immunity and just be nice and healthy after surviving the enemy's burst. He does have very low defensive stats in health and defense, so it is important that you put enough defense and health so he's able to survive. The other thing is that his effect resistance starts at a whopping 30%. If you give him Shimada Staff, this goes all the way up to 50% starting effect resistance, allowing you to build very high effect resistance and resist all the debuffs that F10 and Cerise can throw your way. Being Earth also gives him the ability to counter F10 even more, because F10 just has a straight up 50% chance to just miss on him. He can come in, cleanse all the debuffs, heal your whole team, and give you immunity for 2 turns, essentially negating those 2 units completely and just giving you an easy W. A lot of top level players are using Ray to counter the F10 Cerise comes and have them in the bag for those scenarios. But I know some people, and this person knows who they are, who uses Ray in almost all variety of situations, because again, his healing is based on the allies' max health, meaning if you pair him with a very chunky team, you have so much sustain with these 3 skills, and then just so many cleanses, and with control being everywhere, you're going to be using him a lot. So Ray, very powerful unit. Just very solid overall. Now on to the number 3, we are going with a unit that, to this day, I really need to go build her because she's a unit that almost all players should have, and that is going to be none other than MRSA. She is a simple 3-star that can get you so many wins. If you've ever been like, man, I wish I had a Rylet. I want to be able to dodge and spank. I want to be able to mess people up. Imagine having a Rylet that's low-key better at certain scenarios than the actual Rylet. And that is going to be MRSA. MRSA is such a slept-on unit to this day. She does such high single target damage, just like Rylet, but she doesn't get destroyed if she gets unlucky and hit by a Cerise or someone that can strip him. She can actually dodge even when she has unbuffable up, which is so invaluable. Her base stats are the only thing that's really holding her back by not making her super OP, but she has insane speed, has an imprint that makes her team faster or gives her more damage depending what you want, and then has self buffs giving herself increased speed. And if you give her Moonlight Dreamblade, which honestly is the only artifact that really works on her, she also gets increased attack. So getting increased speed, increased attack with already very impressive starting base speed on a unit that's making your team faster and that does insane single target damage and can decrease speed. She does so much single target damage and can also silence. On top of all that, silence for 2 turns, taking out squishy units and not letting them do their skills, potentially winning you the fight if hit on priority targets that aren't building effective systems. This unit is so freaking good when built right. She's good against squishy control teams. She's good against aggro teams since she's able to give you some speed and is able to do damage. And overall is amazing in tank teams because if you have her with FCC, it's essentially a Rylet that gets a speed buff if they try to touch her, which means that she'll be able to lap faster, she'll be doing more damage, and also her cooldown lowers every time she dodges, which means that you're doing a massive S3 that silences for 2 turns almost all the time. So much solo potential, especially if you have lifesteal set. Just works in a wide variety of situations and does a ton of damage. I really should build my MRSA. There's no reason for you not to build your MRSA, especially if you're struggling with Molagora. Insane single target damage, counters a lot of current teams, and just a solid DPS overall for all different types of teams. Now, on to number 2. This unit is hard slept on. Vivian. One of the reasons why a lot of people don't use Vivian is because a lot of the times people don't really know how she works or how to use her. What a lot of people are doing nowadays is giving her the exclusive equipment that cleanses a debuff with the S3. This is primarily abusing the fact that she's an Earth unit and has a good opportunity to dodge F10's S3 and then be able to cleanse and set up increased attack. The other thing is that this unit, if you've ever struggled against a Tywin, she's your girl. She's able to put up immunity for 3 turns, give herself a massive barrier, making it hard to take her out, and giving your team attack buff. Such a good S3 to support your team, give your team damage. She does require having Dignosaur, which is another reason why a lot of people don't use her, because without Dignosaur, she just gets deleted. And she also has a pretty high stat requirement. But if you're able to give her the equipment that she needs to be fast, high damage, on immunity state with Dignosaur, she can do so much work for you. Punish any team that doesn't bring a strip to their team. So if they're trying to control you and are not bringing strips, you can slap her on there. If you have her built fast enough against Cerise teams with the cleanse artifact, you can have her go right after Cerise, cleanse some of those nasty debuffs, give your team immunity, give your team increased attack, and then go in after Cerise's off of stealth and just slap her with a little bit of an S2 and just clear the whole wave. Does really good against S10 and she's able to do AoE. Just overall, such a good unit, but is a very high investment unit. Again, she can give you a lot of dubs, but is very, very high investment. Should have honestly maybe been a little bit lower because of how high investment she really does need to be compared to some of the other ones talked in this list, but just has an amazing ceiling of use. And last, but definitely not least, Crescent Moon Rin. This unit is so good when built right. That does require you to have really good speed gear and accept the fact that you are going to be losing sometimes, right? Because of the 15% that exists in this game. But if you're able to use her in the right scenario, she's an amazing tool for cleave players to counter a lot of the counters that are out there for cleave while providing support for your team and stunning priority targets and giving your team immunity. She can hard punish a lot of units. If they pick a Cerise and you pick a Crescent Moon Rin and that Cerise is not on a Guiding Light, which most Cerises are not, you can come in and steal the buff. Steal the invincibility. That's crazy. You can actually go in and strip invincibility, and it's so good. It is so good, and it also stuns on top of all that. It is such a good S2, able to strip and stun. The other thing is that you're able to also strip the target's buffs. A single target, you can remove all their buffs and grant the whole team immunity for 2 turns and get an extra turn if you dispel buffs. This is the part where some of the weaknesses do start to show for Crescent Moon Rin, because if you're unable to strip the buffs, you won't get the extra turn, which can be very harmful to you. But if you're able to strip the buffs, you get an extra turn, your whole team gets immunity, and you're able to come in with an S2 and stun a priority target unit. A lot of cleave players are using her, a lot of aggro teams are using her, and she overall can do so much freaking work for you by being able to stun priority target units, set up immunity early, and steal buffs. Really good matchup against units like Cerise, really good in a wide variety of aggressive teams, really good in cleave, aggro, control aggro. Not the best for Bruiser teams, but overall a very, very powerful unit. But that is it for today. Overall, all these units are amazing in their own respects for a lot of different things. Crescent Moon Rin does have a really good potential as well to just allow you to have a lot of versatility in your counter picks and give you a lot of flexibility with how you build her. I really think she's a really strong unit. All these units are very, very powerful. It's hard to rank them, one being better than the other. They're just units that get slept on. So hopefully you don't take the ranking too seriously. But that is all I got for you guys today. Hopefully you have some of these units and you can use them and get some dubs. But that's all I got for you guys today, and I will see y'all next time. Peace.